Yes, welcome back to the Flogsville podcast. It is just me this evening. It's a solo pod on this Wednesday night. And of course, we are wrapping up everything that happened in round two. So it's going to be quick. It's going to be just me talking. So we're going to get through this and just update you on what happened on the weekend. Starting with, it was a bit of a weird round, just quickly. A lot of even-ish scores. No one really did that well, but no one really did that poorly. So our Spud and Pig of the Week were probably the closest amount of points that we've had, certainly than last year. So it shows that the competition certainly is heating up, and it's an even contest at the moment. So let's have a look at our Pig of the Week. And it was Armour Cray. You've done a good game. It was Sam coming on from last year, grand final for Sam last year. Amazing season for him. He's slotted into Flogsville very well, of course. And looking at his side, his backline, that has sort of been the backline that you want. Your Doherty, Dacos, Day, the three Ds back there in defence. That's another D as well. Four Ds. We'll call them the four Ds back there. Oh, there's only three of them. Darcy Wilmot is also a D too. So let's make that four Ds. We're off to a ripping start. So that combination has really been the combination that's worked for a lot of the sides that have started well, like Smith Scripps. We've also got Hugh as well, have gone with that combination. So really some great work in that defence for Sam. And let's talk about Andy Brayshaw. Fantastic pick, great captain for him. And Caleb Strong, nice to see him bounce back. In terms of that was, his talent there, Sam. Darcy Cameron, as mentioned in the chat, 109 against Port, really dominated, showed a bit more ruck time than what the preseason had showed. So that's looking like a good pick. And then just getting the rookies right, I think Kay Chandler, we saw what he did round one. He sort of he built on that. And Darcy Wilmot too looks the best of the defenders back there. So a really impressive start for Sam. Structure looks very, very good. Looks in a really good spot to do well again this season. So let's talk about our Spud of the Week. And like I said, the Spud wasn't too far off. There was a few teams in the 1900s, but it was Total Eclipse of the Heart this week. Heels with a 1915. Unfortunately, a Judd McVie really stands out there in defence, going that three rookie strategy back there. Just not working out at the moment for him, but everywhere else on field, one of my old favourites, Jack McRae, getting a 73. Boy, it's good to see him do badly. Finn Callahan, a little bit disappointing, you would say, copped a knock and really struggled to get into the game. And then Bodie Uland, really disappointing, 27 there. But good news for Heels, I think, holding Josh Kelly. That's going to get his side back up there next week. Forward line looks strong. Josh Kelly to come back in that team, and then suddenly Heels has really got a stable base there to build on. So I think just the extra defensive rookie back there is really what's killed him this week compared to other teams. All right, guys. So hopefully you're still watching. But we're going to go through matchups. Let's go through what happened this week. And we'll start with the top. We talked about Sam with his win with the highest score this round, but he ended up beating my God, your Liberatore. Hugh with, again, a very competitive score. Fantastic start for Hugh. We mentioned it on the pod last week. Of everyone's squads, I think he's got the strongest squad with a 2091. Just got a little bit unlucky there with a few players from his side, but he held Liam Jones back there, did pretty well. Similar sort of side, LDU, again, a fantastic pod for him. Setterfield delivering yet again. So those picks have been smash picks for Hugh to start the year. And then Jason Horne-Francis, really the only blip on his side, and Finn Callahan, you could say. So it'll be interesting to see what Hugh does this week with Jason Horne-Francis, whether he does look to move him on to a Zeeble type. And then he is looking in a really good spot. He's got Hollins, Wilmot, Davey, Chandler, all those boys on the bench. Hugh is really set up for a big year. So, exciting times for him, but great win for Sam. He's top of the table and with good reason. All right, we've had the Keys up against the Glen Mountain Fan Club in a tight matchup. It was the Keys getting the job done. So a win for Jake there. Unfortunately, Sean losing his second game of the season. and we'll just wait till this one loads up, of course, because we do zero preparation on the Flogsville podcast, so we are just rolling with it. In terms of Jacob, let's have a look what Jacob, again, Judd McVie for Jake. Didn't quite get it done back there, but Jordan Dawson, solid as ever. That's what he does. He's a 100 guy. Clayton Oliver as captain really was fantastic on Thursday night. When the lights went out, he pumped out another 30 odd in the extra time that was there, or the time left of the game. Looked amazing. Brisbane sort of ran a bit of a tag early with Jared Berry, but just to watch him spread from stoppage and his thirst, his hunger for the pill, Clayton Oliver is something to behold. So he just looks really hungry, even though they lost Melbourne on the day. He just looks like a fantastic pick. So I love that for Jake. On the flip side, though, we'll talk about Sean and just didn't quite get there. Hayden Young, disappointing week. Started like house on fire and then unfortunately just got a bit of a knock as well, which slowed him down. And then a few others there. Adam Chera was solid. Dom Sheed, frustrating. And I think Hugh McCluggage would be the biggest frustrating point for Sean. A point of difference there for him, and he's had a really lackluster start, has the Clugs. So, yeah, disappointing there for Sean. But, again, plenty of positives. Jason Vaughan-Francis was a little bit down as well. But I think the thing we're seeing is most teams, the scores aren't that different. And I think that's really set ourselves up. It's so early in the year, yes, but I think the competition is going to be as close as ever. And I say that every year, but I think this year, just with the different teams and the mid-prices that seem to be ticking all the boxes, everyone's jumping on them, and everyone has the same rookies. So it's just those odd premiums here or there in the midfield and defence that teams are being different, and that's what's been the difference in the end. The Crouching Lions, great win, 2054. For Brett up against Heels, getting his first win of the year. We'll just wait until this one loads up. But I reckon for Brett, we talked about last week, he's paid up for the big dogs in McRae, Laird, Callum Mills and Merritt. So he's gone really heavy in that midfield. And those guys, apart from McRae, all delivered in terms of his back line. Isaac Cumming, we said he'd bounce back, but he didn't quite get the job done. And then in the forward line, he's gone with three rookies. And Harry Sheasel, what a player Harry Sheasel is, the Cheasel, Chandler and Philippou. I think a big score is coming for him, just watching him. Again, I talked about it last week. I think a 70 or an 80 is coming up for Mateus. So if you're an owner there, rolling him on field, I don't mind, but I'd probably have a peddler ahead of him. But some good stuff there for Brett. In that win against Heels. Let's have a look at our next matchup. It was the Rabbitohs causing a real upset. Comfortably, you could say, beating the Guns N' Roses in what was an unusual performance for Ben. He's had a bit of a slow start, not quite working out so far with Tom Stewart last week. Bringing in Hayden Young, as I did the same thing this week, and Hayden Young, super disappointing. For everyone, Jack McRae there, Dom Sheed, not quite getting it done for him, but for him to be able to hold, no, it didn't hold Josh Kelly, that's okay. So we'll keep Tommy Powell too, those mid-price guys, a lot went Horn-Francis, Tanner Bruin, Tom Powell. So the move to Zeeble, I think, for those coaches this week is a pretty obvious one in that forward line. In terms of Rabs, Darcy Cameron, fantastic. Spoke about him. Jack Steele as captain, unfortunately picked up the injury as well. So that's another forced trade for Rabs, unfortunately. But yeah, the three big dogs in the back line there for Rabs doing bits. Judd McVie on field might need to be fixed up maybe with a Wilmot, you would say. But some good signs for Rabs. And I think, yeah, Ben's boys, another couple of trades this week. He's going to be absolutely fine. I think Zeeble in. And potentially maybe a Setterfield in for Dom Sheed, and he's there. He's got all the rookies as well. So he's in a really good spot. So no concerns there for both those sides. Let's have a look for the B-Sharps. Got the job done against Team GC. A much better effort for Team GC. It was a close matchup. The B-Sharps with 2,000 up against Zach's 1983. So a pretty close matchup. Let's take a look at it. And again, Bodie Hewlin finding his way onto the field for some coaches. But Andy Brayshaw is captain. Cogs in there as well, and a couple of the mid-prices going well for Dale. Darcy Cameron, we've mentioned before, looking really good. And let's have a look with Zach opting to go with Cogs as captain. Not too bad in the end, or 103. Your Callum Mills there, a much better effort. But Oscar Baker, Bodie Hewland, just these guys in the midfield. Harris Andrews, to his credit, we really were questioning that call, but he come down to 94 last week. So can't criticise that at all. But again, the price order, that just needs to be sorted out. A good win for Dale, gets him on the board. Team GC will be looking for their first win this week. Let's have a look at our next matchup. It was my boys, the Sarong, but it feels so right. Up against Peter G. Now, this was a bit of a tight matchup. Peter G's Uniques were looking threatening. Mason Wood again backed up last week, scored really well. And just a few other things there for Pete. Unfortunately, having Campbell Chesser on field. Who else we got here? Tommy Mitchell, Matt Kennedy, probably just doing the 90s. No one really going above and beyond. He had Took Miller as captain. Sean Darcy, wow, that was disappointing to see, wasn't it? With Justin Longmuir and Fremantle, not sure what they were thinking, giving Luke Jackson full-time ruck really in the first half and then changing things around. So, yeah, a bit disappointing there to see Sean Darcy only score 61 after his great effort last week. But yeah, no, some good signs from Peter. I think those unique guys, your Matt Kennedy, Jai Newcomb, all did pretty well for him. Mason Wood. It's just a case of getting the right rookies on field, I think, for Peter, and that was all that was in it. For my boys, Hayden Young, disappointing. Tossed up between him and Will Day all week, and unfortunately did the wrong trade there, it seems, with the Freo boys. And that was pretty much it. Like, I held Josh Kelly, so to get over 2,000 holding him is a good sign. I've gone really guns and rookies this year, which is probably not the right strategy potentially, but it was nice to go Dom Sheed to James Warple and get a bit of reward. I would have loved to get Setterfield, but that's maybe this week. We'll wait and see what happens. So, yeah, despite Josh Kelly missing, it was nice to get a decent score and get myself up there with another win. All right. We've got 2 games to go in our review. It was Smith's Crips up against Hoppleberry FC in a pretty high-scoring matchup here. It was the Crips getting it done by 40 points. So we'll just have a look at this matchup very quickly. So Liam here, backline, super strong with just the Jinbi on field back there, looking great. Serge, nothing wrong with his backline at all in terms of Dawson, Sicily, Doc, and then the 3 popular guys in Constable, Jinbi, and Wilmot. And then, for Liam, Setterfield, Jack Steele. Went with Tom Green as captain, probably underperformed a little bit, but still to pump out a 90 was good. And then, the set and forget boys. Tim English has been fantastic so far to start the season. And then, just your Philippou there on field, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it was good to see. Serge, a little bit unlucky. Pendlebury couldn't quite back up. Rory Laird there. Would have been nice to have that captaincy on him potentially for old mate Laird. Who did he go captain in the end? Sicily went captain. Geez, that was looking good in the first quarter, but he died away, unfortunately, for Serge there. So, Serge looking good. Jack Bytel was an unfortunate injury for him, but he had Ollie Hollins there as backup. So hopefully Bytel's back this week for Serge, and he can keep building on what's been a decent start despite, an improved start from Serge. So that's what we like to see from Poppleberry FC. All right, to our real other upset this round, it was phenomenal despite all our calls on his slow starts typically, and Brad starting so well with a 2080 scoring very highly, and Brad only behind him by 12 points there. It was the big boys for Fenno this week. They bounced back. Hunter Clark, his point of difference, really coming good through with a 90, and then with Jack Steele's injury, does he get more midfield time? So that might turn out to be a good pick for him. But your big boys there, Laird, Oliver, Steele, that's what you're paying for. And they delivered for Fenno and they got him over the line. Timmy T as captain was solid enough. Just that last quarter, he just sort of seemed to be in the 90s the whole quarter. He didn't quite get that 115, 120 that we would have loved. I was the same with Timmy T. I was, excited by what he could do against the Crows. He was solid with a 108. You'll take that. And then, just Tom picking the right rookies on field. I think going your Pedlars and Chandlers up forward, they look solid. Just Campbell Chesser, isn't it? Chesser versus Wilmot seems to be the one that's sort of separated a few sides. In terms of Brad, defence looking great with that structure, as we mentioned. And he's got Clayton Oliver, 149. Bailey Smith is captain, not a bad choice there. Philippou on field, unfortunately for him, over Ollie Hollands, and that's just rookie roulette, isn't it, the first part of the season. Tanner Bruin as well for Brad, unfortunately hasn't worked out, but as we've mentioned before, I think a swap to Zeeble, those that have rolled with a mid-pricer there at F5 is an easy move to make this week. So speaking of this week, let's go through some of the matchups, because by now you'll be getting sick of my voice, that's for sure. I'm getting sick of it too. So we're just going to go through some of the matchups this week once I load it up. So we've got McRae versus the Glen Menton Fan Club. You'd expect Sam to go well again. He's looking really strong. Sean improving signs, but I think Sam will just be too good this week. My God, your Liberatore, Hughes side up against Total Eclipse of the Heart. Good contest, this one, I think. I think Hughes, similar to Sam, looks really set for a big year and should get the job done here with his side. And Total Eclipse of the Heart will get Josh Kelly back, hopefully. So that'll be a bonus for him. See what he can do at the trade table. All right, the Keys and the Rabbitohs, two sides in the 8, in and around the 8. This will be really interesting how it goes. Leaning towards the Rabbitohs after last week, I think, amazing to pull off the victory against Ben. Scoring the 2000s, Rabbitohs looking like those big dog premiums are back after a bit of a slow start. So tipping him to go well again, but wouldn't be surprised if there was an upset here. All right, the Crouching Lions up against Team GC. I think the Crouching Lions are just building, as they do every year. So consistent, Brett. Will just be too much for Team GC, but hopefully Zach can make a couple of good trades and get a few ins there. All right, we've got the Guns and Roses up against Peter G. I think the Guns and Roses will just be too good. I think, as mentioned, these two trades this week are great fix-up trades for everyone, and I think those sides that haven't quite got that mid-pricer right will be able to get to the mid-pricers that are going really well. So I think that'll be good for the Guns and Roses, and structure-wise, he looks really strong. So we're going to back him in over Peter G. We've got the B-Sharps up against Hockleberry FC. This is going to be a good matchup. This is going to be a really tight matchup. Probably could be a toss of a coin, this one, really. Serge looking for a win. We're going to back him in over Dale. Big week this week for the teams that are 0-2. So important for them to get a win and some points on the board. All right, now we've got two matchups left. We've got myself up against the Burpins. Really great matchup. Burpin's really in a strong position. I think that Tanner Bruin move for Brad will be priority this week. Get him off the field and then go to a Zeeble type in that forward line, or even a center field with a bit of DPP or something like that. So excited to really see this one. For my guys, I guess LDU, the potential tag this week against the Hawks is a bit of a downside, but hopefully we can sort of I made some errors last week, fair to say, with my trades. Hayden Young wasn't ideal, but we'll see how he goes. See what happens with teams, really, and then go from there. Got a few options. Being more a guns and rookies approach, I've sort of got a few options of what I can do. We'll wait and see what happens there. And then Smith's Crips up against Phenomenal. I think really looking forward to this matchup. I think the Crips, they're again similar to Sam, similar to Brad, similar to Hugh. I think they're the sides that have got the structure right so far, and just a little bit of tinkering with a couple of players. I think the Crips will just be too much for Phenomenal, but the big boys are phenomenal. If they go well again, your Clayton Olivers, your big boys in Laird, those guys, if they go really well, that can almost be the difference. So that'll be a good matchup this week. So that's it. That's it. That's me done. I'm finished talking. Next week, we should hopefully have a full set of everyone on the pod. Busy week this week, lots going on. So just wanted to get this one out there. And if you enjoy it, great. Solo pods aren't the same. But good luck this week. And hopefully we get a bit of kind team news like last week and not too many red dots to worry about. So all the best and catch you next week.